So this is my tank. I've not turned it on yet, but I've put in water and it looks cloudy because the tank was a little bit dirty. The steel plates in there are slightly rusty, but don't worry, they'll get even rustier before it's done. Those steel plates are connected by a piece of wire, very thick wire, and that's what I'm going to be connecting the positive to. The negative is going to get connected to my machine. So all of my and since I'm still in the let's figure out how this works thing, I'm doing two different wires. For my little wheel plate and faceplate, I'm using copper. And for my machine itself, I'm just using a utility type wire, okay? But what is in here is a combination of mostly washing soda. Hang on, let me show you. I have about a cup and a half of washing soda in there and just a little bit, probably about a quarter cup of TSP, which is very good for cleaning nasties. Most of the videos I saw, they only use washing soda, but there was one video of a guy who actually does rust and paint removal and restoration things, not sewing machines, but other things, and he added TSP, so that's why I'm adding it. So I'm going to go ahead and feed this board through the loops that I made with the wire on here so that I can suspend them in the tank. Okay, I've got them in there and I'm adding more water because I want to make sure they're completely covered. I also want to make sure that none of these parts are any way coming in physical contact with these parts. Okay, so once I have the water level high enough, I'm going to connect a little jumper wire between these two so that I can use both of them at once. Okay, so I want to show you what I've got here. The sewing machine is suspended in there. The white jumper is connecting the copper wire that had the wheel and plates on it to the utility wire that I have the sewing machine on. The black jumper is going to this battery, which has a black clamp on it, which is going to the battery charger, okay? The positive side from the battery charger is going to the dead battery with a jumper going to the wire that's connecting all of those steel plates. And we do have the beginnings of some bubbles going on, so I'm very hopeful that this will work. It could take a couple days, you know, so I'm just going to crack the window open and let it do its thing. From last time I did this, I was outside. This time I'm inside, and what I've read is that there's no real fumes, but it can put out excess hydrogen, you know, and we don't want any excess hydrogen going on in here. So there's a window right here that I'm just going to crack open, and I think that that will be good. Okay, it's only been about 4 hours. I just got lunch, but it looks like there's a whole lot of stuff going on down here in the tank. So I'm going to go ahead, pull it out just to see. I have a piece of paper down here that if there's anything to scrape off, I can put it there, you know, and be easy for cleanup. But I've disconnected, I've unplugged the charger from the wall, disconnected the little pieces here. So I lift this in, oh wow. Okay, let me lift this piece over and slide the board out. Okay, there is a lot of activity here. Look, this has only been, like I say, about 4 hours, and I do need to pull the wire off. But look at this. Hang on. This is that back panel. Look at that. It's just coming off. There's a little bit left, but not a lot. That is amazing. Look at that. All right, so here's my plan. And this water, it's not toxic. It's like as bad as laundry soap, basically, for you. So it's okay. I can put my hands in there. I do have gloves on just because, you know, dirty things, but this is great. There's enough stuff still stuck on here. I think I will go ahead and put it back in after I wipe everything off. But to me, it looks like, look at the machine. Look at the machine. It's all just coming off. I am so pleased. So pleased. So, like I said, it's not complete. I can tell that there's more that needs to be done, but you're going to get a really good idea of what this tank can do. That is the rust coming off. So this is doing two things. It's taking off the rust and taking off the old paint without chemicals. So how great is that? So I'm going to go ahead, wipe this off again, wrap the wire back around it, put it back in, and probably let it go until this evening. So it is the next morning. I came in here and I think something happened when I was closing up shop last night and something touched something or whatever, and so my whole system kind of stopped overnight. So I just came in, rewrapped the wire around things when I checked it out, and hooked it all back up again, and she is going. What I still have to do is the base. The whole top part, the stand and the top part of the sewing machine is completely clean. It's just the flat base that has a whole lot of paint in it. So I wrapped some extra of these wires around the base just to try to increase the amount of connectivity in that base area. And on the copper wire, I still have my front face plate and my bobbin winder. Those still have, the front face plate has like 3 dots of extreme paint. It's like different parts of the machine had different amounts of paint in it. So I think, hopefully, later on today this will be done. But I'm really enjoying this process. I think that it's a really cool way to go. Okay, it's been about 24 hours now. I'm turning everything off, and we're gonna see what it looks like here. So this is what I'm seeing. Most of the machine up here, completely free of paint. Inside, the gears are extremely clean. This shaft looks brand new. But down here on the base, still quite a lot of paint. I am going to try taking my wire wheel here on my Dremel and hitting a few of these spots just to see how hard it is to flake up this paint. What I'm seeing is that the paint that is still on hard, but a lot more is coming off. So what I just did is with a scrub brush, I got in here and scrubbed down my steel plates because they were getting really nasty. All of the rust and gunk and everything, you know, kind of goes towards those. So to get a better current, I scrubbed them off. You know, my water is kind of scummy looking, lots of rust in there. I'm going to set her back in and let her run overnight again. I think that, I think we're on a roll. I think we're doing good here. I might wrap some more wire around, especially around this base, just to try to get the most current possible going through there. Hopefully in the morning she will be done because all of my small pieces are pretty much done. It's just this big one that is left. Well, it is over 24 hours, and the last, basically since this morning, it looked like nothing much was going on in the tank. So, you know, troubleshooting me, I decided, you know what, I know it said you shouldn't have to refresh the water, but I did. I went ahead and emptied out the tank, put in fresh water, fresh washing soda and all that, got it all hooked up, and nothing. It wasn't doing anything. And finally I figured out that what I have is I have these little alligator clips that come down to my battery, and then there's a charger cable on there. and the alligator clip that was connected to the battery down there had shorted out. So thankfully these are pretty like low voltage and everything, so it's not a big deal, but that's what it was. So I just changed out that alligator clip with a different one, and I already had bubbles started. So that's what it is. I was starting to doubt my sanity and everything, but now I have a refreshed tank, clean water, and hopefully it'll be ready to go again. Next morning, and we definitely have a lot more action going on, so I'm going to unplug it, unclip it, and see what happens when we pull it out. Well, there's still paint on the bottom. More came off. There's less than there used to be, but there's still a decent amount of paint there. But it is doing something, so I'm going to go ahead and put it back in and turn it back on. Hello, and so I don't even know what day it is. Is this day 4? I don't know. But I finally pulled my machine out of the tank today, and it was not completely paint-free. There was still quite a chunk right here on the bed, and there was still some underneath, okay? But I decided, you know what, enough is enough. It's time to pull it out because my water honestly was getting very, very rusty and nasty. So when I pulled it out, I used this very hardcore abrasive wheel on here, and that was able to get it off. And I think that there's just different areas on the machine that have more or less types of paint on it, or more or less applications, you know? And I don't know how manufacturing was done, but the top part is a separate piece. I did not take it apart, did not want to go there. But they may have painted the top totally separately than the bottom and then put them together. And looking at the remnants of what could be paint around the very base of it, you know, that could be. But what I wanted to show you is it was able to get the wheel, the faceplate, all of my small pieces came clean very easily. Most of my sewing machine came free very easily. So to answer the question, can the electrolysis tank, in the way that I have it set up, totally remove all of the paint from the machine? My answer would have to be no. But it got enough of it gone that I could use, you know, my Dremel for smaller places, the big Mean Max for bigger places. It got so that I could just use those in about 15 minutes to touch up everything else, and the paint is gone. Now I can tell you, as soon as you pull it out, it wants to rust. And it's a different kind of rust in some places and some places not. I did see orange wanting to appear in some places, but in other places it was black, and in other places it was white. All kinds of stuff. What I did is, as soon as I pulled it out, you know, and after I got all my paint remnants off, I oiled all the moving parts because I did not want these gears to get fused into place at all. So that was my first thing, is I came in here with my very precise needle-nosed oil bottle and oiled all of these parts just to get those settled. And then I got a paper towel with some mineral spirits and just wiped everything down. In case there was some kind of a reaction going on, I wanted to be able to stop whatever that was. So, yeah, that's it. You can see the machine is a little bit white, but I think that that's going to be fine. I really, really wish I was able to get this off. And if you saw the video on me deconstructing this machine, you know, there just came a point where I felt if I kept hammering it to certain pins that I was afraid I was going to do damage. So there it is. So when I go to paint it, this part's going to get masked off very carefully. But that is it. I hope it was helpful. Next video, I will be painting this machine and making her pretty again. See you then. Bye-bye.
I found an antique sewing machine, forgotten and alone. I touched her rusty wheels and knew I'd take take her home. I brought her to my farm in an Amish neighborhood where simple living's valued. She'd be loved and understood. I put her on a treadle stand and coaxed her wheel to turn. I felt her joy and easing with my study and concern. I cleaned her and I oiled her, showed her off to all my friends, repaired the hurts of years and let her sing again.